Well, just on the technologies then. So you've got, as you said, you've got the power play at the moment between the US, obviously, and China. And you're seeing Trump encourage an enormous investment now in energy for the data rooms and everything else, which is going to allow AI to be full maximum.
Yeah.
That's in a race, I guess, against the Chinese. From your perspective and knowing this market far better than I do, who's actually leading in the
Yeah.
space in AI and in quantum at this particular point? That's my first question.
Yeah.
Has the world as business considered this in depth enough, which is to your point?
Yeah.
Third part to it, in 5 years' time, what's the unexpected that we haven't thought about in this space that
Yeah.
could impact us?
So who's leading is a complex question because there is an
Yeah.
equal transparency, right? And so the amount of scientific research the West publishes versus China publishes is two different levels. So anyone who says they really know where China is probably, exaggerating how much they know.
Sure.
But I think if you read broadly, you would sort of say consensus is in AI and quantum, the West and particularly the US is leading. How far that gap is, no one really knows.
Right. Okay.
And I think we're in an era that everyone has to be sort of healthily paranoid. Like, this is not an era of complacency.
Okay.
So even if you are ahead, you've got to invest. You've got to invest and you've got to make sure that you are developing the new solutions as quickly as possible.
Okay.
In terms of corporations, how they're adopting it, I think it varies, and I'll use quantum because that's even more of an emerging technology than AI. I think it's hard to find a company that doesn't say that they're adopting AI or machine learning in some form into their business model. But if you take something like quantum, actually, when I was at CBA in 2013, CBA made its first quantum investment alongside the Australian federal government and Telstra.
Okay.
So some of the financial institutions and telcos have been thinking about this over, even 10, 15 years ago. If you take the US, JP Morgan have, I think, 30 or 40 quantum PhDs working for them full time. They've invested $100 million into Quantinuum.
Right. Okay.
So the large corporations are starting to invest because they know these technologies are coming and they have to keep abreast of it. Now, how far and how broad is the adoption? Probably not enough. And I think the next 5 years, people will have to accelerate their knowledge and their adoption. What you're starting to see, the US has done it, the UK have definitely done it, I'm not sure about Australia, is governments are now coming out and saying, you have to be quantum ready by 2033. Right? So that's started. I think the really interesting thing is sort of where are we all going to be in 5 years?
Yeah.
And clearly there's some huge positives, right? AI will drive productivity. Right? It will drive, knowledge and information. It will drive better decision making. There's a genuine concern about labor. Does it create significant levels of unemployment? How do governments, how do societies deal with that? With quantum, people talk often about cybersecurity.
Yes.
But actually, the biggest impact will probably be in health, human health. Because what quantum effectively does is it allows a significant amount of computations far in excess of classical computing. So whenever you've effectively got a code, it's highly effective in cracking that code. Now, the read across to cybersecurity is clear, but the read across to drug discovery is also going to be profound. And so the combination of quantum and AI could well mean that our kids on average live, over 100 years. So there's going to be huge benefits. But again, there are risks. Whoever gets to quantum supremacy first will potentially be able to unlock all the security of a competing nation. And so all these technologies, they always sort of are a double-edged sword. Hugely beneficial to society, but potentially disruptive.